1944. The Battle of Hürtgen Forest. It was a grueling and protracted engagement between American and German forces during World War II. Fought in the dense and rugged terrain of the Ardennes region in western Germany, the battle lasted from September 19 to December 16, 1944. It was characterized by fierce combat, difficult terrain, harsh weather, and heavy casualties on both sides. The forest's dense underbrush, towering trees, and labyrinthine paths created an environment that was conducive to ambushes, making it an exceptionally challenging theater of war. American soldiers refer to the Hürtgen Forest as the death factory due to the extraordinary level of difficulty and the high casualty rates they experienced during the battle. The forest's thick cover provided an advantage for the well-entrenched German defenders, making it extremely challenging for American forces to advance. The combination of the forest's dense undergrowth, hidden enemy positions, and the Germans' effective defensive tactics resulted in heavy American losses. The battle's prolonged nature, coupled with the adverse weather conditions and the relentless fighting, created an atmosphere of despair and exhaustion that earned it the grim moniker Death Factory among the American troops who endured its hardships. Today we will discuss both sides and hear from soldiers and the conditions that they had to survive in. From the American perspective, the Hürtgen Forest represents a chapter of World War II marked by intense struggle, harsh conditions, and enduring courage. Situated in the Ardennes region of western Germany, the forest became a battleground between the American and German forces during the latter part of 1944. The battle, known as the Battle of Hürtgen Forest, stands as one of the longest and most grueling engagements in U.S. military history. American soldiers who fought in the Hürtgen Forest faced a unique set of challenges. The dense and rugged terrain made traditional military tactics difficult to implement, and the towering trees provided ample cover for German defenders. The forest was filled with undergrowth, fallen trees, and hidden enemy positions, turning every step into a potential hazard. As a result, soldiers often found themselves in close quarters combat, with little room to maneuver. The weather added another layer of hardship. The battle took place during the bitter cold of fall and winter, making the forest an unforgiving environment. Rain, snow, and freezing temperatures further compounded the challenges faced by the American troops. The forest's dense canopy blocked out sunlight and impeded air support, leaving soldiers feeling isolated and vulnerable. Despite the daunting conditions, American soldiers pressed forward with determination and resilience. They fought house to house, clearing out enemy positions, and engaged in fierce combat against well-entrenched German forces. The battle became a war of attrition, where each inch of ground gained came at a heavy cost in terms of lives lost and wounded. The struggle for Hürtgen Forest had a profound impact on the soldiers who fought there. The isolation, the constant threat of ambush, and the difficulty of advancing created a unique form of psychological stress. Casualties mounted, and the progress was slow and agonizing. The forest seemed to defy capture, and the battle took a heavy toll on morale. Ultimately, the Battle of Hürtgen Forest paved the way for the larger Battle of the Bulge, which unfolded nearby. The relentless nature of the fighting in Hürtgen Forest drained resources and manpower from both sides, impacting the strategic situation on the Western Front. The sacrifices made by American soldiers in Hürtgen Forest are remembered as a testament to their courage and determination. The battle serves as a somber reminder of the challenges of war, as well as the resilience of those who face them. Today, the Hürtgen Forest stands as a symbol of the sacrifices made by those who fought there, and it continues to be a site of remembrance for the bravery and sacrifice of the soldiers involved in this grueling chapter of World War II. Amidst the haunting silence of the towering trees in the heart of the Hürtgen Forest, Private Daniel Reynolds trudged forward with his fellow soldiers. The forest's chill seeped into his bones, and the weight of his rifle felt heavier with every step. Daniel's helmet was adorned with mud and leaves, a testament to the relentless struggle that had consumed the past weeks. As a young American infantryman, Daniel had seen more than his fair share of battles, but Hürtgen Forest was different. It was a battleground that seemed to defy progress, a place where every foot gained was paid for with blood and sweat. The dense undergrowth made it hard to see more than a few feet ahead, and the towering trees blocked out the sky, casting an eerie shadow over the forest floor. Daniel's thoughts often drifted to home during moments of respite. He could almost hear his mother's voice and feel his father's firm handshake. These thoughts were a lifeline, a reminder of the world beyond the relentless struggle of war. But those moments were fleeting, and the forest's oppressive silence and the distant sound of gunfire quickly brought him back to the reality of the present. One morning, as the sun struggled to pierce through the thick canopy, Daniel's unit received orders to push forward. Their objective was to secure a strategically important hill, a task that had proven elusive for days. The Germans had dug in deep, and their positions were hidden among the dense underbrush. As the American soldiers advanced, the forest seemed to close in around them, suffocating them in a wall of trees. The air was thick with tension, every rustle of leaves a potential threat. The snap of a twig could shatter the fragile calm, and then the forest would erupt in the chaos of battle. The firefight was fierce, bullets whizzing through the trees and explosions sending shock waves through the ground. Daniel's heart pounded in his chest as he took cover behind a fallen tree. His fellow soldiers exchanged desperate glances, their faces smeared with dirt and sweat. The forest's thick foliage gave the Germans an advantage, and progress was slow and agonizing. As the day wore on, Daniel's unit managed to gain some ground. The hill they had fought so hard for was within reach, but victory came at a cost. The forest floor was littered with fallen comrades, and the faces of those who had fought alongside him were etched in his memory. As night fell, the forest seemed to exhale a heavy sigh. Daniel and his unit huddled together, their tired bodies seeking warmth against the cold. The stars above were obscured by the canopy, and the forest was alive with the distant sounds of men and machines. In that moment, as the forest held its breath, Daniel felt a bond with his fellow soldiers that transcended words. The battle for Hürtgen Forest would continue, unyielding in its demand for sacrifice. But in the midst of the struggle, Daniel found strength in the camaraderie of his comrades, the memories of home, and the unshakable belief that one day, the battle would end, and the forest's grip on their lives would loosen. From the German perspective, the Hürtgen Forest holds a significant place in the annals of World War II as a battleground that tested the resolve and resilience of German soldiers. The forest, situated in the Ardennes region of western Germany, became a theater of intense combat during the latter part of 1944. The battle, known as the Battle of Hürtgen Forest, is remembered as one of the most grueling and challenging engagements for the German forces. German soldiers who defended the Hürtgen Forest faced their own set of challenges and hardships. The dense forest cover provided an advantage for defenders, allowing them to conceal their positions and launch ambushes on advancing American troops. The forest's terrain, characterized by its undergrowth and fallen trees, made movement difficult for both sides. The Americans' attempts to advance through this tangled environment often exposed them to German fire and booby traps. In addition to the natural obstacles posed by the forest, the weather conditions further compounded the difficulties for the German soldiers. The battle unfolded during the harsh fall and winter months, subjecting soldiers to rain, snow, and freezing temperatures. These adverse conditions made fighting and maintaining defensive positions an arduous task. The German defenders were also dealing with the larger strategic context of the war. By late 1944, Germany was facing multiple fronts and dwindling resources. The Hürtgen Forest battle was fought in the aftermath of the Normandy invasion and as the Eastern Front was pressing deeper into German territory. This context placed additional strain on the German military's ability to reinforce and support its troops in the Hürtgen Forest. Despite these challenges, German soldiers held their ground tenaciously. The dense cover of the forest allowed them to maintain effective defensive positions, and their familiarity with the terrain gave them an advantage in terms of local knowledge. They utilized well-camouflaged bunkers and trenches to repel American assaults, inflicting heavy casualties on the advancing forces. The German perspective on the Hürtgen Forest battle is one of endurance and sacrifice. The battle highlighted the determination of German soldiers to defend their homeland, even in the face of overwhelming odds. While the forest's cover provided a defensive advantage, it also became a symbol of the challenges that German soldiers faced during a time when the tide of the war was turning against them. Today, the memory of the Hürtgen Forest battle serves as a reminder of the sacrifices made by German soldiers during the war. It is a testament to the complexities of war, the human toll it takes, and the enduring impact it has on the generations that follow. Amidst the chilling winds that swept through the dense Hürtgen Forest, Corporal Ernst Weber moved cautiously, his every step calculated. The forest had become his home, its twisted trees and thorny undergrowth both his ally and his adversary. As a German soldier, Ernst had been tasked with defending this unforgiving terrain, and every day was a relentless struggle against the elements and the advancing American forces. Ernst had seen friends fall and comrades wounded in the unforgiving battles that had raged for weeks. The forest's canopy seemed to swallow the sky, its shadowy depths concealing hidden dangers and unseen enemies. As he peered through the tangled branches, Ernst knew that survival depended on his wits and his knowledge of the forest's secrets. One misty morning, as dawn's feeble light struggled to penetrate the thick cover, Ernst's unit received word that the enemy was advancing. The Americans were closing in, and their objective was a hill that held strategic importance. Ernst's heart pounded as he prepared for another day of fighting. The forest seemed to come alive with the sounds of warfare, the distant crack of gunfire, the thud of artillery, and the rustling of leaves as soldiers moved through the underbrush. Ernst's unit took up defensive positions, digging into the forest floor to create makeshift trenches and bunkers. As the battle began, Ernst's training kicked in. He peered through the foliage, his finger gently caressing the trigger of his rifle. The Americans were advancing cautiously, taking cover behind fallen trees and rocky outcroppings. The forest's cover was both a blessing and a curse. It shielded them from view, but it also made them vulnerable to ambushes. Ernst's heart raced as he took aim and fired, his shots echoing through the forest. The battle was a cacophony of noise and chaos, the air thick with the smell of gunpowder and sweat. Bullets whizzed past, and explosions sent shockwaves through the ground. As the hours passed, Ernst's throat grew parched and his body weary. He exchanged worried glances with his comrades, their eyes reflecting the shared weight of the battle. The forest floor was littered with fallen leaves, a mosaic of colors that belied the grim reality of war. As night fell, the forest seemed to sigh in exhaustion. The gunfire gradually ebbed, replaced by the crackling of campfires and the distant murmur of men. Ernst's unit huddled together, their faces smeared with dirt and fatigue. Around them, the forest whispered its secrets, a reminder of the countless battles that had taken place beneath its canopy. In that moment of respite, Ernst's mind drifted to thoughts of home, his family, the village he had left behind, and the dreams he once held. The forest's shadows seemed to soften, and for a brief moment, Ernst found solace in the camaraderie of his fellow soldiers. The battle for Hürtgen Forest would continue, unyielding in its demand for sacrifice and courage. But amidst the hardships and the horrors, Ernst held on to a glimmer of humanity, the shared experiences that bound him to his comrades and the belief that one day, the battle would end, and the forest would be left to its timeless silence once more. Thank you for joining us on this adventure. We're excited to keep exploring with you. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. We'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas for future videos, so drop them in the comments below.